Joe Biden is the president of the United States. Have we ever had a more popular president? Do you remember when Donald Trump was president and everyone thought it was the world's worst thing? Oh, Donald Trump, he's so old, he's so inept, he's so crazy. We didn't think it could get any worse, did we? And in fact, on the eve of Biden's inauguration, we came to the conclusion that a better world was being reached into. In fact, I remember listening to one commentator saying that the lights around the Lincoln Memorial were like arms reaching out, embracing America.
It's like almost extensions of Joe Biden's arms embracing America.
Well, it turns out those arms are doing a lot more than that. Biden is experiencing now a crisis in his popularity, and he's now reaching to wag the dog style desperate measures by wiping out terrorists. You can almost see the policy wonks devising this story. Oh God, how are we going to make Joe Biden more popular? I don't know, could we kill Osama bin Laden? Well, no, because we've already killed Osama bin Laden. Could we dig him up and resurrect him? But because Osama bin Laden isn't available as a kill strike, they've had to go for the next best thing. They've killed Ayman al-Za-warey. Let's have a look at that news footage now.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm John Dickerson in Washington. President Biden is delivering remarks on a successful drone strike in Afghanistan that killed al-Qaida leader Ayman al-Zawahiri. Zawahiri was one of the masterminds behind the September 11th terrorist attacks.
They have to make Zawahiri sound important, so they have to sort of refer to him as a mastermind. He was a mastermind, he was a devilish genius. He's a brilliant man in many ways, I love him. No, you've gone too far there. Don't make Zawahiri seem brilliant. He's so great at plotting terrorism. They have to sort of walk this line between making him sound important enough that his murder is significant and not glamorize the event itself.
He later succeeded Osama bin Laden as the leader of al-Qaida.
He's the new bin Laden. So we haven't killed bin Laden, but we've killed the next best thing.
After bin Laden's death in 2011.
Do you remember those innocent days when we were killing Osama bin Laden, when he had a different president from the same party but was better looking and more charismatic? Try to think of that. Try to think of that when you're paying through your ass for gas. Try to just think of Barack Obama, not the bit where he bailed out Wall Street. Forget that bit as well. We need you to focus on some very narrow facts. These are them. There's a new Osama bin Laden, and this old bastard just killed him. Now be grateful and pay whatever you need to pay for your fucking gas.
And here comes the president speaking on the balcony there. He's still recovering from COVID, which is why he's on the balcony and not inside.
Like that the news thinks that the thing that we're really going to be worried about is the location of Joe Biden when he staggers out to blag us. Oh, where's Joe Biden? Why is he not in his normal environment? I've got questions about Joe Biden, but it's not why is he on a balcony instead of on his normal Oval Office. It's why do you keep electing people that don't make a blind bit of difference to the lives of ordinary people? Why do you keep inviting us to participate in this meaningless, empty spectacle? Well, we're not going to be answering any of those questions because they're a little too complex. I'm irritated that you asked them.
President Biden.
My fellow Americans, on Saturday, at my direction.
It was actually my idea. People weren't going to kill him. It's my direction. A lot of people said this is a Zawahiri guy. He's a mastermind. Let's let him live. Let's give him another chance. Let's give him a job. Let's do a deal with him, some kind of arms deal. But I directed people to kill him. I directed him. I was even using the remote control of the drone.
The United States successfully concluded an airstrike in Kabul, Afghanistan that killed the emir of al-Qaida, Ayman al-Zawahiri.
His facial expression that he finds himself resting in is not fortunate for a commander-in-chief, because he sort of looks bewildered, doesn't he? Like, he's not like, listen, you know Al-Qaeda? Sort of. I remember him. I mean, I'm much more concerned about ISIS now that you create. Don't worry about ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the complexity of the war in the Middle East. Just try and think of Al-Qaeda. What was them the people that we went after the war in Iraq, when you said there was weapons of mass destruction and there turned out not to be weapons of mass destruction because of that false dossier? Look, just focus on a really narrow set of facts. All I want you to remember is Osama bin Laden and a new one. It's like it's becoming so hard for them to manipulate our attention now because there's been so much revelation of blunder. There's been so much revelation of deception and dishonesty that it's becoming almost impossible to us to invite us to focus on the narrow set of facts that they require us to focus on to remain dumb.
You know, Za-warey was bin Laden's leader. He was with him the whole time.
When people have got grave doubts about your sanity, don't do the weird side head scratch.
He was with him the whole time.
That's right. I'm just saluting myself because I'm the president. Am I talking right now? Is this a dream? Is that my hand on my head?
He was his number 2 man, his deputy at the time the terrorist attacked 9/11.
I shot bin Laden. And I also shot the deputy.
He was deeply involved in the planning of 9/11.
He came up with it. It's a mastermind.
One of the most responsible for the attacks that murdered 2,977 people on American soil.
Things are so bad in America that they have to remind you of how bad 9/11 was to make you feel better. People are paying over the odds. There's a mad war in the Ukraine. We've just had this ridiculous pandemic and the subsequent lockdowns. What are you going to do to cheer us up? Remember when all them people died? Fucking hell, is that the best you've got? Reminding us of something even worse. Yeah, it could be worse. What if someone kicked you again and again in the ass? Well, I suppose that would be bad, but I don't want them leading the country.
As Commander-in-Chief, it is my solemn responsibility to make America safe in a dangerous world.
Fear. Now, listen, a lot of you watching this will be concerned and interested in the broader themes that undergird news narratives. I believe a significant one is that we are continually invited to be suspended in a state of fear. If you're terrified enough, you'll pay whatever the fuck you're told to pay for gas. You won't question what's been going on in the last couple of years. You won't think, oh God, could our country be run in a better, fairer, more just way? Is there a way that ordinary people could come together to reorganize their own lives, their own communities, have a true spiritual connection, develop genuine purpose and meaning? Listen, we live in a dangerous world. Remember 9/11? It was bad. Is that a new terrorist? I fucking hope so.
The United States did not seek this war against terror. It came to us.
That's also quite complicated. I think like America does have some interests in the Middle East that might have provoked, in some degree, not justified the attack, but might have contributed to it.
We answered with the same principles and resolve that have shaped us for generation upon generation. To protect the innocent, defend liberty.
This is what we do. Firstly, we protect the innocent. Got to do that. Good. Then we defend liberty. Yep, got to do that. What else is there? What else is there that we got to do?
And we keep the light of freedom burning, a beacon for the rest of the entire world.
And then there's that thing where we keep a light of freedom beacon burning for the rest of the world. I hope that fucking freedom beacon ain't burning gas or oil, because it seems like you're having some trouble extracting the stuff.
Because this is a great and defining truth about our nation and our people. We do not break. We never give in. We never back down.
If you by now can't see that you're being propagandized by that message, that what's happening is America's entered into a recession, even if Joe Biden won't call it that publicly. Price hikes are escalating. Billionaires are getting richer. The relationships between politicians and the billionaire big tech class are increasing. And all they can do now is try to trick you into believing that it's 9/11 again in order to cheer you up. That's the best you've got, is it? Now, what is the value of Joe Biden's promise? What is this actual story predicated on? The idea that they have a degree of expertise. One of the things that they're banging on about is that it's a drone strike that killed al-Za-warey. Now, drone strikes are not as expert as they would have us believe. Drone strikes are not a consequence-free military killing machine, not in the way that they would have us believe. Of course, foreign wars became unpopular in America after Vietnam and after the Iraq wars, because American people, and I know there's a lot of Americans watching right now, don't want to see their children, fathers, mothers, brothers, sons, daughters coming home in body bags. There's a solution to that. Drones. Drones that only kill baddies. Drones that turn war into a game. That turn war into a sanitized and particularized murdering mission with no negative consequence or downside.
We make it clear again tonight that no matter how long it takes, no matter where you hide, if you are a threat to our people, the United States will find you and take you out.
You can't act that hard when you're that old and when you're that frail. It looks like when he points that finger, it might just drop off or turn into ashes on the end of his hand. So that's the story so far. Good news, everyone. We've killed a terrorist that we have to explain to you why he's important. Meanwhile, the idea that this terrorist was killed by drones, drone strikes, of course, as you know, because you're educated people, increased under Barack Obama, have a side to them that needs to be perhaps explained in more detail before we move on to the complexity of Joe Biden's relationship with Saudi Arabia, a relationship in pre-election pledges he claimed he would not have anymore. Let me tell you a little bit about drones, though. Between 2010 and 2020, the Bureau of Investigative Journalism tracked US drone strikes. It found 14,040 minimum confirmed strikes. But in actuality, 2,200 civilians were killed. That's 13% of those people were civilians, and 454 children were killed. That means of the 14,000 people that were killed by drone strikes, 13% of them were civilians, and 2.6% of them were children. Out of that incredible number, the idea that one terrorist leader has been killed doesn't seem like such cause for celebration, really, does it? In September 2021, the US admitted that a drone strike in Kabul, days before its military pullout of Afghanistan, killed 10 innocent people, including 7 children. In 2016, American Special Operations Forces bombed what they said were 3 ISIS staging areas in Syria. They claimed 85 fighters were killed. In fact, they hit houses far from the front line where farmers and families sought nighttime sanctuary from bombing and gunfire. More than 120 villagers were killed. Whistleblower Daniel Howe revealed that in a 5-month period, 90% of people killed by drone strikes were innocent civilians. He was sent to prison for this. This is just another example of how the truth is manipulated in order to create convenient narratives, and anyone who tells the truth might end up in prison. That's why I'd like to say that the last 5 minutes has been a performance art piece that I call The Man in the Hat. Biden's contributions to peace in the Middle East has not been confined solely to the killing of doubtless baddies. He's also been visiting the royal family.
President Biden is in Saudi Arabia right now. He just arrived at the palace, and this is video of him arriving, and there's the crown prince. There you go, a little fist bump with the crown prince.
So I suppose the problem with Joe Biden visiting Saudi Arabia, ostensibly to do deals to extract more oil or to at least grease the wheels of the oil trade, is that one of his pre-election pledges was he would make Saudi Arabia a pariah.
President Trump has not punished senior Saudi leaders. Would you?
Yes, and I would make it very clear. We were not going to, in fact, sell more weapons to them. We were going to, in fact, make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are.
How exactly are you going to make Saudi Arabia a pariah again, Joe?
There you go, a little fist bump with the crown prince.
Well, you see how I gave him that fist bump? I was barely committed to it at all. So the reality is this. Things have gone so bad under Biden's presidency that his administration has resorted to bringing up the imagery of 2001 to cheer you up. We've seen him make pledges to make Saudi Arabia a pariah when in fact he's heading over there to do oil deals, and conveniently and potentially coincidentally, they've just done a massive arms deal with Saudi Arabia as well. Have a listen to this. The Biden administration recently approved more than $5 billion in missile sales to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates weeks after he visited the leaders of both countries. The US State Department approved the $3 billion sale of 300 Raytheon Patriot missiles to Saudi Arabia, as well as 96 Lockheed Martin terminal defense missiles worth $2 billion for the UAE. Anti-war voices argued that such sales will only prolong a 7-year war in Yemen, in which more than 300,000 people have been killed, millions have been displaced, and millions more face hunger and disease in what's widely considered the world's worst humanitarian crisis. A further complication to Biden's Saudi Arabian visit, whether or not it's to get oil deals or to ease arms deals, is that there seem to be connections between the 9/11 attacks and Saudi Arabia. So those connections, along with Biden's pledges to make Saudi Arabia a pariah and the celebratory tone around the drone strike killing of Osama bin Laden's tribute act, make this, for me, a quintessential propagandist story. A story where fear is evoked, where the murder of a terrorist is used to propagandize a population, and where in reality arms and oil deals are done with a nation that were purportedly going to be cast as a pariah. According to a report in The Intercept last year, mounting evidence supports allegations that Saudi Arabia helped fund the 9/11 attacks. Immediately after the attacks, the Bush administration downplayed the Saudi Arabian connection and suppressed evidence that might link powerful Saudis to the funding of Islamic extremism and terrorism. The Bush White House didn't want to upset its relationship with one of the world's largest oil-producing nations, which was also an American ally with enormous political influence in Washington. And much of what the FBI discovered about possible Saudi links to the attacks remains secret, even to this day. So there you have it. Does the drone strike murder of Ayman al-Za-warey represent a success for the Biden administration? Or do his visits to Saudi Arabia suggest that Biden is yet another political leader that can't be trusted? Is this drone strike death enough to distract you from increasing price hikes, the ongoing malaise, the increasing mistrust that the world, as well as in particular America, are experiencing? Is the way that this is being reported on the news another example of propagandizing and terrorizing a population through the use of old deflated narratives and yet more disinformation and misinformation? Possibly that's true, but that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up, pass this video around. If you like this video, watch either of these and sign up to the mailing list, because then we can stay in direct contact with you and let you know how you can participate in Zoom calls. And let me tell you, there's more to that than meets the eye. More important than any of that, please stay free.